What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand to Table podcast. I'm your host, Henry Kaminski Jr., your go-to guy for restaurant marketing and branding. Today, we have a phenomenal guest. I cannot wait to get into this conversation. This restaurant is literally in my backyard, and I've been frequenting it since it was opened. So without further ado, I want to introduce Dominic Torlucci from Stonewater over at Lake Hopatcong. What is going on, my friend?
What's up, Henry? Good to see you.
Dude.
Appreciate it.
Took a minute to get you here.
It did.
between the bookings and your schedule, but I am so happy to sit down with you today. I think this is going to be a great conversation. So real quick, before we get started, you've been in the game a long time. I want to get a quick little background on you and how you got into the restaurant industry and how it got you to today.
You got it. So I'll give you a quick background. You know, about 25 years I've been in the restaurant industry. You know, I started out when I was younger in pizzerias. What really made me fall in love with it, though, I went to Spain, where my family's from, and spent about 3 weeks there before I went to college, and was planning on going to play professional football. That was my goal.
Where in Spain, by the way?
In Santander, up on the north coast.
Okay.
So got family right up there. It's about 2 hours to the south border of France there.
Okay.
But right on the Mar de Cantabria right there. So beautiful little area. Family had, you know, cow farms, things like that. So just the old way of living. When we went over there for the first time when I was 17, 18 years old, you know, the fish guy would come, drop off fish in the bathtub. And then, we had a cow that had to go down. So we, you know, did that when I was 18 years old with my relatives. And,
oh my goodness.
And it just made me really fall in love with like the cooking aspect of it and the freshness and things like that. So when I came back home, I said, hey, Mom, I'm going up to culinary school. That's what I'm going to do instead of going to play football. You know, so my full ride scholarship, I kind of, you know, let that go and went to culinary school instead.
Here you are.
So then after that, you know, my first job, really major job after culinary school, I got real lucky, I like to call it, but you know, started working with José Andrés down in DC. You know, so it was really big working with him for 9-10 years, traveling all over the place, opening restaurants, doing whatever had to be done. Work ethic, though, is number one. What comes in this, you know, you got to have passion for it, but your work ethic also is what's going to help you grow and get into this industry. You know, not being an owner of a restaurant, but taking ownership. I think that's a lot what people don't do. You know, they just say, oh, it's a job. It's a job. Well, if it's a job, you're going to treat it like that. You're going to get those results out of it. But when you take ownership, you're going to grow, you're going to keep growing, and you're going to become something one day. You know, and that's really what my goal was I take ownership in it, you know, and I love what I do. So that brought me back home. You know, grew up in Roxbury, Lake Hopatcong area. I mean, the lake was my backyard growing up. About 10 years prior, came home and opened up Stonewater back in 2017.
Oh, my goodness. Little fun fact. So my grandmother on my mother's side was from Galicia, Spain.
Ah, nice.
So we might be doing a little trip next year. We were going to hit Portugal, but we think we're going to take a little ride up and kind of see the old town and see what's going on over there. But that's awesome. I had no idea that you were Spanish because your last name's Italian. You look Italian.
Yeah.
You know?
My dad's got the Italian blood in him, but you know, out of Newark, New Jersey, out of Ironbound section.
Oh,
you know.
Boy.
But my mom was first generation, born in Spain. She came over here when she was 8-9 years old, and you know, her and my dad met, and
so
the rest
cool.
is history.
So cool.
You know?
So cool. You know what? I never asked you guys this, and I've been dying to ask you on the show. Stonewater came to fruition in 2017. Where'd the name come from? Yeah,
so it's actually I didn't have a lot to do with the name. They kind of had the name before I came on board. So I came on board about a year before. But Stonewater comes with the real Indian heritage back in the day. The Lenape Indians, you know, stone over water was like the Hopatcong translation in the Indian terms. So that's where we came up with Stonewater.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And this restaurant, I got to tell you guys, I go there often because it's like 7 minutes from my house. This restaurant, you walk in, you feel like you're on vacation right away. And I think it's something that it needs to be said because it has that real cozy vibe. But the one thing that I noticed recently, actually, is there's these beautiful murals on the wall. So if you ever go in, make sure you check out these murals on the wall because they all mean something. And there's this beautiful map of the lake on one wall, but then there's this one mural that looks like a little house.
Yep.
I wanted you to get into that real quick because I want people to peep that next time they come in.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact dates, but back, I want to say in the 30s, 40s, Lake Hopatcong was starting to boom. There was a lot going on. There was a little tiny marina restaurant. It was called Smitty's. And that was like the location. So a lot of people are like, where's Stonewater on the lake? It's like, do you remember the old Smitty's Marina? And they're like, oh yeah, we do. I'm like, well, that's Stonewater now. So it was this really small place, that everybody would go to. They had like little car meets and things like that outside. People would be dancing, having a good time. You had the water, go inside, grab a snack, come back out, kind of deal. So, the owners really did a great job though. When they looked at the space, they had a vision for it, what they wanted to look like, and then they built the building to kind of outfit it.
So that picture is Smitty's.
It's Smitty's. Yep. Yeah, so we really tried to play a lot of the history behind the location where we're at, and really being involved in the community is like a big factor for myself as well as the owners. Like, they love being involved in the community.
I noticed that because you guys have a lot of private events, and I notice it's very local based events, and I think that's super awesome. Talk to me about the differentiating factor of Stonewater, because you guys got a lot of uniqueness that a lot of other restaurants can't play with.
We do. So one thing about Stonewater, what I love about it. I'm just going to start with a little bit off of that. We're going to get into it.
Sure.
What I love about it is when you drive down the road, you see this building and you don't think it's that big. You don't even know really what it is. There's a sign out front that says Stonewater. Once you come in the front door, people are still like, oh, okay, it's just a restaurant. They get past the host stand, they look and they're like, wow, like, what is this? Floor to ceiling windows everywhere. Big cathedral ceilings, I want to say 25, 30 foot high. We got 3 big peaks so that the ceilings go up a little higher there. And it really is this beautiful feel where you can see the whole lake. You have this feel where you walk in, you're like, am I supposed to be in the mountains, like up in New York, or on a ski lodge, or where am I supposed to be? You don't realize that you're in Lake Hopatcong, So we get a lot of people in that wow factor. And it's always funny for me because I'm in the restaurant. I watch people come through the front door. And then as soon as they walk into the actual restaurant, they're like, wow, look at this, and I just love seeing that kind of wow factor kind of deal.
I got to tell you, it's one of those go-to spots for our family, because when we go, we kind of just let the day disappear. Yep. Like when we're there, we're so present. And for whatever reason, your restaurant gives off that vibe where like nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool. And one thing I love about you guys is I know the ownership lives on the lake and has been residents of Lake Hopatcong from like day one.
Yep.
Right. One thing I love about you guys is that you never take that beauty for granted.
No.
I could see it through, the stuff that you give me to post on social media, sunsets and things like that. I think, and it's funny, we posted something the other day of a sunset, and like it got so much attention because people are so appreciative of nature.
Yep.
Right. And I love that fact about you guys, that you do not take that for granted.
We don't, it's a driving force. I mean, anybody that's been to our restaurant around when the sun sets, we have the prime location, especially when that sky is nice and red, everything else. It's unbelievable. Like the setting, never thought in a million years running a restaurant that I'd be paying attention to when the sun sets throughout the year. But honestly, it makes a big difference because people love it, and we want to make sure that we're focusing on anything we're doing in the restaurant around that time of the day because it's beautiful. I mean, it's not that it's not beautiful during the afternoon or dinner time, late at night either when the moon hits and you got the nice reflection on the lake. We're blessed to have that. So why not make that a focal point of what we're doing there? Yeah.
And I know there's other restaurants on the lake, but this one does not. A lot of them don't hit the way Stonewater hits.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, and I'm not poo-pooing on those other restaurants. Yeah. There's a vibe, there's a juju about this restaurant that I think that people just need to experience for themselves. 100%. You have some other differentiating factors here that I want to get into. So ownership actually owns the marina that the restaurant's on as well. And I know that you guys do some really cool things in the summertime. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. So we do own a marina. We have the marinas on the restaurant, that are in the restaurant. Plus there's 2 other ones down the lake shore and other areas. So we have over 400 boat slips. We keep about 18 to 20 for people to pull up on their boat to come to the restaurant.
Oh, cool.
So that we have access to that. So anybody on the boat can come in anytime, come in for lunch, you come in for dinner, enjoy it. But a real unique factor is a couple years ago, they set up a boat rental business. So with the boat rental business, we tie that into the restaurant now, where we can offer you the sunset cruise. We can offer you the afternoon, go out for a cruise for an hour and a half, come back in, have a lunch, have a dinner, whatever you want to do. And I think that's something that's really separating us, because you don't have to go rent a boat. You don't have to own a boat. We'll take care of it all for you. We want you to experience the lake, because that's our backyard. That's our playground. Yeah. And we all love the lake. Like, that's why we're around Lake Hopatcong.
Right.
So we want you to come out and experience a boat. We'll have a driver for you. We'll take you around. We'll show you the houses, the sights, the uniqueness about the lake, and then when you're done with that, you come in and have a great meal.
Well, you also have, you did some dining cruises in the past too, which I think we're going to reinvent this year, right?
Yeah. So, you always try something out, and I'm a big proponent of trying something all the time. If you don't try it, you never know if it's going to work or not.
Correct.
Right. So we tried out some boat cruises in the beginning, maybe 2-3 years ago. And it was a whole package, and, honestly, the price was a little bit high, so I said, okay, let's try it out, because it's new. The rentals are new. The restaurant trying to do this is kind of new. So this year we're going to reinvent that a little bit better. And I think really send people out, maybe a charcuterie board, bottle of wine, some beers if you don't want the wine. Maybe we can make some mixed drinks to send you out there with, and then you come back in and you have a nice little 3-course meal or something along those lines. But I think making it more valuable, affordable for the guests as well, so that they can go enjoy it. Because it's not about us making a ton of money. We're not I don't want to say we're not looking to make a ton of money, but at the same time, we really want the experiences for the guest. We want everybody to experience what we love, and that's a big component of what I'm about too. It's like, cool. I used to bring in a jamon and slice jamon, give people samples all the time, just to educate people and give them some of my background and what I love. The stories about how I grew up and the stories about the food that I love to eat are really what's setting us apart, and teaching my staff and training the staff so that they understand the stories. They come with their own stories when they're making new menu items, things like that. It's all about the story and why, and I think that's a big component of what sets us apart. Just
you got stories for days.
We can, we do. We do. We've been through a lot, I mean, my younger years, I'd be the first one working 80, 90 hours a week, and I loved it. And, my wife now, she's like, you're nuts. Why do you love doing this? I'm like, because it's not work. Like, I love this industry, and I stepped out of it for a year, but I found myself right back in it because I missed it so much.
I was thinking of you last night because my wife wasn't feeling that well, and I had to take care of the little guy. So we were thinking dinner. So I brought my son to Stonewater for dinner. And we had a meeting that yesterday at 11:30 in the morning. I didn't get to Stonewater until about 7:30. And I see you peeking around the corner. And I'm like, this son of a bitch is still here. Yep. And it as I'm eating, I'm saying to myself, this shows such dedication from management, ownership, and everything and I see ownership there every day, which I think is really important. You got to be there, right? But that dedication goes a long way. It's not what you say, it's what you do. Yeah. And when I see that, I say, these guys care. And I think that's a big, big plus for Stonewater, because there's a lot of absent operators and owners and you could tell. The bathrooms are shitty, and, you could tell the staff isn't dialed in, and, that comes to the table.
That's the one big thing that I love, and I have a great relationship with the owners there, and they treat me well. I treat them well. It's a great relationship. We shake hands. It's a great relationship right there, and that's what I love about them. It's not all about the bottom dollar. It's not about the bottom dollar at all. They care about the experience too. They want people to come in and enjoy it, be relaxed, feel comfortable, so they allowed me to set up the restaurant where I can properly train my staff. And a lot of my staff has been with me for some since day one, since we've opened. I mean, I got 5 guys that are still working the kitchen. The chef took over. He was day one out of culinary school, worked with me for 9 years. Now he's the chef of the restaurant so that I can step up and be the director and keep guiding him. You know, so
can we stop there for a second?
Sure.
Because I think the turnover rate in restaurants is something like 73% on average.
Yeah.
What do you think is holding those folks there? Like, what's keeping them there?
You know, there's many things I think that are keeping them there, and it's not all about the money, because we know in restaurants it's hard to pay everybody what they want.
Yeah.
You know, I really think what kept them there was my first 6 years there. I would get into the grind with them every day. They knew that I wasn't a chef that was just going to stand back and be like, do this, do that, do this. You got a problem? Let's figure it out. Let's do it together. You know, I have your back. I want you to have a life outside of work. You have things going on. I care about you and your family and everything else. And just being there with them in the grind, whether somebody called out and they're like, chef, we don't have anybody to work the dish station today. It's like, no problem. You know what? I got 4 hours over here. I got 4 hours on the dish station today. That's what I'm going to do. You know, and them watching me, I'll bust tables. I'll go out and clean the dishes and be there side by side with them working. And I think that goes a long way with a lot of people.
1,000%. And I see that. I see you in action. Let's not gloss over the fact that, you know, you've been with Stonewater pretty much since the beginning. Yeah, a little hiatus here and there, but one time, but you were the head chef there.
Yep.
And then for years, and then you stepped up into the director role now. So like,
yeah, so like my progress through there, I was a stubborn chef when I first got there. You know, everybody said when we first got there, what are you going to do? You know, there's no way this is going to work in Lake Hopatcong. You know, so before we even opened, I would travel around to every restaurant and go eat the food. And I came up, you know, I have nothing bad to say. There's a place for every restaurant. There's always something that somebody can be doing great. But where I learned in the industry was I had the ability to work for a celebrity chef and somebody that was up and coming, you know, and moving around from concept to go learn more. Everything we did was scratch, and we did it out in Vegas from scratch. We did it in DC from scratch, whether it was Puerto Rico, Miami, wherever. We were opening a scratch restaurant. So I said, we came to Stonewater. I said, if I can't open a scratch restaurant here, then you know what? I can't be here. You know, so the owners allowed me to do what I wanted to do, which was hard because they're like, what is this guy talking about? The costs are going to be a lot more. This is going to be a lot more. I said, please just trust me on this, and we have to get this going. That we have to do something different, you know? So being able to make something from scratch and put it out there and not have to worry about reheating food, buying food, you know, and hey, not knocking it, but it's not what I wanted to do. I want it to be different. Then on top of that, COVID hit, right? So we got hit with something every year when we opened, blue algae on the lake, and then this happened. We had a Loch Ness monster, you know, snake or whatever on the lake for a little while. There was something every year, and we're like, can we just stop? Like, get one full year without a problem, you know? Well, that wasn't happening. So COVID came, right? So we're like, oh, great. How are we going to pivot this? I'm like, well, you know what? During COVID, everybody was on their boats. They were on the boats. I said,
I got a boat membership that year.
Yeah.
It helped.
I called the owners and I said, hey, we're pivoting. I was like, our liquor license allows us to sell to the boats. We can bring food out to the boat. I was like, I brought 2 of the kids in that were with me for 3 years and a couple of kitchen guys. Like, I said, let's go. We're cooking food. We're sending orders out. When they allowed us to open up outside, great. We had 110 seats on our deck. They allowed us to get 110 seats. So we opened up, we pivoted, and we moved. But what also happened was I came out of the kitchen. And that's when I started working more on the floor and learning how to be a general manager and really doing that. Now, I've always had the hospitality side of me, but going from a chef to that was really what kind of made me realize that the customer experience, the guest experience is really what makes a difference. And just being there and dealing with situations and dealing with problems in the right way. Yeah. And I always think of things. I'm like, hey, how would I want to be treated? Or how I always tell my staff, would you want your mother to be treated that way? That's number one thing that goes through your head when you're talking about how to fix a guest complaint. Would you want someone treating your mom that way? You know, and my part of my story is I'm home now where I am at Stonewater because I had a death in the family. My mom got sick and passed away, so it brought me back home. But I had to take a negative situation and make it a positive situation, so I dedicate a lot of what I do at the restaurant to my mother. Like, I wanted her to be proud of me. And this is what I really dreamed about for a long time, so I really push for that, I mean, for a long time, my father works there. He still works there. My wife works side by side with me for a long time, like, had a lot of my family there and supporting and, and whatnot. But going out from the general manager side, that's really what really switched my mindset to really tie in the kitchen and the front of the house to really be able to deliver on that guest experience and bring these unique experiences to life at Stonewater.
And I always hear about the divide, right?
Yeah.
Between the front and the back, right? But I don't feel it there.
No.
I don't. And I think that makes such a greater experience for the guest, because the guest always feels the yes end of that, right? They always feel, if they can feel that tension, if there's tension there, the guests are going to feel it.
100%.
I didn't know about your mom, and I love that you have purpose behind everything that you do, and there's a dedication to her. I love that. I lost my mom 10 years ago, almost around this time. So I get it.
2016, that's when I lost it.
You never really get over it. You get through it, right? But if you could take that, like you said, turn it into a positive and turn it into a motivation, I think that gives you purpose and it gives you the reason. And I think that's why you do what you do, right? 100%. You don't have to hit that dishwasher, but you do because it's for mom. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the things you got going on at Stonewater. You got a big project that's about to pop soon. Let's talk about that.
We got a massive project about to pop. So we do a lot of parties in our restaurant, a lot of big tables. We can handle I need a 20 top on a Friday night. And it's like, all right, we're going to put together a 20 top on a Friday night. We're going to make this happen, on a Wednesday afternoon.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. So we do a lot of events, and people are coming to us now for the rehearsal dinners. They're coming to us for really every kind of party. I mean, you name it, we can handle it, So we got 2 rooms in our dining room right now that are semi-private, but not really private. So we decided a couple years ago that, there's a building we have next door. What are we going to do with it? We need an event space. That's what we need. So we've been quietly behind the scenes building out an event space that is getting ready to open up this year. And it's really going to bring big things. We see that there's no event spaces on the water at all right now. So we want to focus on micro weddings and also any of your other events that we can focus on. We got bridal suites going in. We got 2 floors of private rooms, bars, a whole nother kitchen going in. It's all coming together and it's going to look gorgeous. Like, we're at the final stages right now. I'm like, the finish line is like chomping away. The mouth is watering. We're ready to get in there. We're just ready to get this and show the world what this is all about and what we've been kind of envisioning and building for the past couple years now.
Dude, you gave me the walkthrough a couple weeks ago and I just could not believe the flow of the space, how beautiful the views are, the floor to ceiling windows and like you said, the suites and the rooms and how you structured the layout. It is gorgeous. I cannot wait to see the final. I love going through walkthroughs like that because, like my creative side loves to see things at like ground level and then complete, because it's like, wow, you went from this to that in just a few weeks. And it's just amazing. I cannot wait to see it.
Every day. It's always something new and it's exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be able to show the public and everybody what this is and how great it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. This area up there certainly needs another venue like this because there's only a couple go-tos, right? And this one is going to be, and I love how strategic you went with this, because as you're explaining it to me, I realized that, listen, in 2025, we saw a big shift in events, like the 400 and 500 people weddings and gone.
Yeah.
Now we're going more intimate. We're going more creative. We're going more like higher end, but small, not a lot of people. And I think that is going to be a huge trend over the next few
Going forward.
years. And I think you guys hopping on it now is just so smart.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for us. You know, we know that we've tried doing weddings throughout the restaurant and stuff and just not having that full space that we want to be able to provide. Like, this is going to really change the game for us, at least, you know, in terms of events, and really, you know, try to be the trendsetter in what we're building and what we're doing.
Let's take a step back real quick,
Yeah.
because there's going to be a lot of interest in this. For somebody that has not been to Stonewater yet, right? They haven't walked in the door.
Yep.
What do you want them to feel the minute they open up that door and walk in?
I want people to come in and feel relaxed. I want them to feel like they're on vacation. You can get away for the day, you know, even if it's 2-3 hours, you can get away, feel relaxed, have someone take care of your needs that you need met, you know, so that you're not stressing, and be able to kick your shoes back, you know, sit back and relax, enjoy the wine, enjoy the cocktails, the food, the apps, the conversations. You know, we really want people to come in and just enjoy the experience, be relaxed, and look at the beautiful views while you're eating, you know, not have to worry about the hustle and bustle of the North Jersey life that we all live. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. And that's our goal as a restaurant, that we want people to feel relaxed and comfortable, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny, when we were going over some of the strategy work that you and I are working on, and you told me that a lot of people are traveling to the restaurant.
They are.
That was a huge kind of eye opener, that people are coming from, you know,
Far.
30 miles away to come experience this and making a day out of it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you a little bit, like during COVID, especially, you know, we had a lot of people from the city moving out, trying to go wherever they had to go, you know, just looking for places, work from home. This is all a great thing, right? I can't tell you the amount of people that I had that were like, we never even knew Lake Hopatcong existed. We found this restaurant online. We're like, let's just take a day trip because we got nothing to do. They'd come in, and next thing you know, they're looking for houses around the lake. I'm like, all right. So a couple of weeks go by. I'm like, hey, you guys drove back from the city? No, we bought a house. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you know, we're always afraid, like, if we left the city, we couldn't get a nice restaurant, you know, close in our backyard kind of deal, or we couldn't go out and eat and get good food, you know. And then we found this place, and we're like, we can live out in the lake communities, or we can live in the mountains of Sparta, or we can live somewhere around here, be away from the city, still get to the city in 35-40 minutes. It's not a far ride, but now we have a place that we can come enjoy meals 2-3 times a week, or, you know, 4 or 5 times a month, you know, and that was a nice feeling for me. I'm like, wow, these people are appreciating what we're doing.
What kind of impact, like, does a restaurant have to get somebody to uproot and move?
Yeah. You
That's
know,
huge.
it was really a blessing for us, you know, and that's how I look at the wins. You know, it's not about our bottom line. It's about what we're doing for the guests, how they feel about us.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the biggest thing that we focus on every day in the restaurant. It's like, yeah, the bottom line, that'll come.
Yeah.
It'll come as long as we're managing the numbers and everything else, which every operator knows how to manage their own books and what to manage, how to manage the labor, you know, the food costs, everything else. We don't need to talk about that.
Right.
You know, it's about the guest experience. And that's what's going to bring them back. And they're going to keep coming back, you know, and that's all we focus on.
Yeah. Well, this is a good segue into the next question, right?
Sure, yeah.
We talked about offline about a lot of word of mouth has helped you grow over the years.
It has.
Why do you think that channel has worked so much?
I think it works so much because when we opened, so since we're bringing it back, we're going to go back a little farther. When we opened, there was a big buzz, you know. It took about 2.5 years to get the construction done. You know, I was in there about a year prior, met the owners, kind of started getting development together and systems in place and whatnot. I remember, I'm just going to go back to our first night. You know, I'm in the kitchen. We had 10 days to train my staff. So I have kitchen staff that's green, like 5 of them right out of culinary school first day.
Oh, man.
You know, maybe 1 or 2 that have some experience, and then a couple other ones that are just standing there, you know. I walk out to the front door, and Henry, I tell you, there was a line of like 300 people at the front door on day 1. We opened up at 4:00, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? You know?
Oh, I would have shit my pants.
Yeah. So we've never focused on marketing, social media, anything. We just put a post out, said, hey, Stonewater, we're open. And that was it. And for the first year, 2 years, it was a blessing. Like it was just nonstop. Busy, 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 which every restaurant, I'm sure, in the beginning, you expect that. Right. Especially 2 years of hype and seeing something being built, not being able to get there. They're like, well, I'm intrigued. I want to know what's going on.
Right.
So then now we got a lot of friends in the community. They start talking it up, and then it just snowballed and kept going, where we sustained the business, up until about COVID, of just word of mouth. Yeah. And it's like we didn't have to focus so much on it. Now, if we would have focused on it, probably be in a better situation now, maybe move along a little bit farther, quicker, but we've done a good job, and we've done what we wanted to do, which was the guest experience, by just word of mouth, and it's really helped us out a lot. And hey, one good review, they're going to tell 2, 3 friends. A bad review, they're going to tell 20 other friends, right? So we made sure that how we handled situations, even if there was issues, no one's perfect.
Right.
We're not perfect. Right. There's going to be times where things happen. Right. But like I said before, when you always have that in your mindset, do I want my mother to be treated this way? You're going to make things right quicker and better. So it's finding a way to get that negative guest experience to that positive experience in a faster way, so that they're not, lingering and telling 20 people, 30 people, 40 people about that one bad experience and hitting it in the head, inviting them back, and every time you invite someone back, you're doing better for the business, doing better for your reputation, your brand, and everything else.
Like I said, you get them back 3-4 times, and they're ambassadors.
They're family.
They're family.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
You walk in, you're family now.
That's awesome.
You keep coming back every week. It's like, hey, I know your name. I know what drink you want to drink. I know what you like, and hey, maybe I have a bottle of wine for you today. Maybe I have a cocktail for you. It's because we treat them like family. I do the same thing for anybody that is my family. Come to my house, you're going to get a good drink. You're going to get good food,
I love
it's
it.
Like I treat my house and restaurant kind of the same way.
I love it. I'd be doing the show a disservice if I didn't get into a little bit of marketing talk.
Of course.
You had mentioned social media.
Yep.
You had mentioned, a post here and there, when you first open. One of the things we talked about, again, offline, was being able to be more consistent on the digital platforms.
Yes.
and making that sort of effort to take things to the next level. What do you think was getting in the way of that happening from the beginning?
I think time was getting in the way of that. So
not enough of it.
Not enough time. Correct. We didn't have enough time, to do much of anything other than run operations. We were very thinly ran for a little while, meaning I was the chef and the GM for a little bit. So as the chef, the GM, and director, all 3 jobs doing at once, and running myself into the ground, which that was a personal challenge that I had to get over too. It's giving up that authority for my staff to make decisions, right? So the minute I learned how to do that, gave me more time to do the bigger scope of things that mean more to Stonewater than me washing dishes, than me doing this. Well, let's make sure we have enough staff on. Let's make sure we have people in the right places, but not having the time doesn't allow an operator to do the marketing. So when there's no time, what's the one thing you're going to overlook? Social media, right?
Yep.
I can't sit here. I don't have time to build a post, and I'm a chef. Like, can I cut? Can I do stuff and put it on a screen? No, I can't, I have no trading on that, so I think once I got over the hurdle of doing so much, then it gave me time to sit back and say, okay, now we need to delegate and we need to grow as a business, and social media needs to be done. Email marketing needs to be done, which led in our conversations with you, because I said, hey, I know a guy. I told the owners, I know a guy, and we need to have a conversation with him. And I think we had a great conversation, and we're just going to keep going from there.
Yeah, I am so happy to be part of the team. I really am.
We're happy to have you.
It's been such a blessing over the last 30 days. I just see a very in sync team. I see people that are willing to try new things. Yeah. I see people that are saying, listen, this is not my lane. But if it feels weird, I'll definitely push back. Like, I'm not going to be some guy that's just going to play the sideline. But one thing I love about you guys, and I'll say it live, is you guys are willing to take chances, willing to give chances, but also willing to step back and say, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And I'll stick to my lane as long as you could stick to yours, you know, and let's roll. Right. And I think that's what's working so well because we did the work up front, right? We did the work up front. We sat down, we spent a few hours together before any post went out, before, you know, any sort of video was created, or any sort of email, or whatnot was sent out because I really needed to understand the inner workings of the restaurant before we could do any of that.
Yeah.
And that just led to better posts and better right out of the gate, right? So I'm happy to see that, and I'm happy to be part of the team. I think there's going to be so much to look forward to in the spring and summer this year, and it's going to be awesome. Before we wrap, we got a couple of cool events that are happening over the next couple, I would say the next few weeks. Let's tell people about it in case they're interested.
So in February this month, we have Carpenetto Winery from Italy coming in.
Great wine, by the way.
Anton, the son of the winemaker, will be there kind of going through the wines. We're going to do a nice little 5-course tasting with food pairings attached to it. Coming up in April, we're going to have another event with Drum Shambo. It's going to be gins and Irish whiskeys. All right. So there's going to be a couple people from Ireland over here as well for that event. We're going to do like a little tapas kind of menu to pair with some of their single malt scotches, whiskeys, and a couple cocktails with their fig Drum Shambo gin and some of their other Sardinia gins we're going to do as well. And then coming up in May, we're going to have a really unique event, which I really love. I'm not a big drinker, but I do love tequila. All right. So that's one thing I'm going to say. And I partnered up with 2 tequila brands. We got 2 of them. Malavita is the first one, and they have Malavita Dos Artes Señor Tosano. I love what they're doing. Great brand, great product. And the other one is going to be Mi Gente. The cool thing about Mi Gente, which is really brings everything to a small world perspective, is one of the founders, Juan Coronado. He was our cocktail man for José Andrés' group back when I was working with him. So I found out Juan's in Jersey now. Juan has Mi Gente tequila. Juan's going to be coming up to the restaurant. We're going to create a cocktail for the summer in May, and we're going to have a nice little Mi Gente tasting kind of dinner as well in May. So we got a couple cool events coming up in the next couple months. So keep your eyes out on Open Table for some experiences we're going to be doing, social media, things like that.
What's the social media handle?
Stonewater NJ. So Stonewater NJ. You can find that on our social media handle for everything. Facebook, Instagram, and then stonewaternj.com is our website. You can find us on Open Table. We just kicked off Open Table this past month. So go on there, make your reservations. Definitely highly recommend you coming in, make reservations early for the summertime. We are super busy in the summer.
Yeah, you got to get that reservation in, guys. I'm lucky I know somebody, but you know, those reservations book quickly. Yes. And there were times last year where I just, there was nothing, it was so packed, you know, so awesome stuff. I got one big question for you.
Sure.
Where do you see Stonewater in the next 3 to 5 years?
It's a good question, man. It's been growing so quick that 3 to 5 years is a long way out, you know, for me. I think
for me too.
I think in the next 6 months, you know, it's hard to get 3 years on my book, but honestly, the growth that I've seen that we have done, you know, as a team at Stonewater, you know, there's no ceiling on how big we can grow or what we can do. You know, we want to be one of the better event venues in New Jersey, you know, on the water. I think right now our biggest push is for this event space because we're putting a lot of resources and time and energy into it, you know, so really just showcasing how an event can be done where we're not going to be your typical event space. We try to customize things to your liking, and as opposed to this is our package and deal with it kind of deal, which some places do. But, you know, at the same time, like we also partner with a lot of these other restaurants, a lot of these other places. I'm constantly on the phone with the chefs, the directors, these other people, building relationships, you know. So we're always trying to set the next trend. We're not trying to follow suit, you know, so I don't want to tell everybody where we're going to be in 3 years. You know, you're going to have to come see for yourself. But we definitely have big things in our plans, and we're not going to stop growing. Like we have no desire to stop growing at all.
I love it. See, that attitude is why you guys have withstood, you know, 8 years of business, continuously growing. Like that attitude is where it's at. And I think when it's all about attitude. Attitude will lead to altitude.
Yep.
You know, I know there's a quote out there that's similar, right? But yeah, you know, your altitude is definitely going to be based on your attitude, and you guys are just doing a hell of a job, and I love the flexibility that you guys have. You guys are very family friendly. Yeah. You know, it's not. I bring my 8-year-old son there all the time. You know,
I see him eating his milk and cookies every time he comes.
He loves his milk and cookies, man. It was funny. We were there yesterday, and he was like, "I'm gonna ask Angelo." He knows the chef by name. He said, "I'm gonna ask Angelo if we can just do garbage cookies tonight, and not all the other cookies that they have." So Angelo did his thing, and he was like, "Well, we only have these." So it comes out, and my son was like, "Well, these are the ones I wanted anyway." Yep. So anyway, we had a great meal, and
that's awesome.
And it was a lot of fun. But Dominic, such a pleasure, dude, to have you on and
to be here
and to talk about Stonewater. Guys, go check out Stonewater at Stonewater NJ on Instagram. They're on Open Table. You just search Stonewater. It comes right up. Get that reservation booked out. I think we'll post this before Valentine's Day. So I don't know if there'll be any reservations left, but definitely a great spot for a Valentine's date night. Go check them out. Guys, appreciate you guys again for listening and watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Share this with somebody that you think will get value out of it. And I will catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care.